Chapter 10. The Masters. Chaotic Universe will now shift its location to the Andiron Universe. Beforehand, more information about this universe is required before continuing the story. The Andiron Universe is nearly identical to the normal universe physically. Elemental abilities as stated by Darren and Iria do exist in the Andiron Universe. The general public have knowledge of these abilities, therefore they are no secret here. Some people are born with them and some people research them and are able to learn them that way. This by far is the largest contrast between the two universes. Since Darren and Iria cannot directly interfere in human affairs. The Elemental Peace Corps was created. This organization prevents and combats criminal use of elemental abilities. Following the organization's formation, self-taught elemental abilities are declared illegal and punishable by law. Furthermore, this makes the EPC the only entity authorized to teach elemental abilities to those not born with them. Those who are born with these abilities are documented at birth. A distinguishing mark of an elemental is the glow in their eyes, which is the color representing their elemental abilities. While there are differences between the Normal and Andiron Universes, similarities exist as well. The most important of these regard the subject of universal travel. Universal travel is viewed the same way in both universes. There is knowledge of it based on theory. But the occupants of the Andiron Universe do not believe that universal travel is possible. And like the normal universe, the Andiron Universe's general population has no idea that its counterpart exists. The Earth of Andiron Universe has its own history that slightly varies from the normal. For example, the First World War did not happen. World War II takes place in 1945 AD, similar to the normal universe, but is the only world war, known there as the Great War, and was not started by alternate Germany. The war was a result of the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement in the Andiron Universe took place 20 years earlier than the events that took place in the normal universe. It started in the United States like the normal universe, but in the Andiron Universe it became global. Alternate Germany aids the civil rights activists in their efforts with their science and engineering, which was cutting edge for the time, similar to normal Germany. And all of the results of the civil rights movement occur close to 20 years earlier than the movement in the normal universe. By 1965 AD, the countries of alternate Earth have united to become a global society, but still retain their country's history and traditions. While the Andiron Universe's Earth may seem peaceful, the EPC has recorded a rising number of elemental ability-related crimes in recent times. These crimes have been traced back to one known as Paul E. Johnson. But what puzzles them is that each crime related to him involves a different element each time. What they do not know is that Paul is really Aaron. The EPC have vague knowledge of the Elemental Masters, and cannot find them because of where their base of operations is located. In the Andiron Universe, the location is Aaron's Island, aka the South Pole. Aaron and Shigo are preparing for a meeting with all of the Elemental Masters set to attend. Aaron is sitting at the head of the table with Shigo sitting in front of him to his right. Aaron looked at Shigo. "How soon can we expect the other masters to arrive?" asked Aaron. "You know how they are, Lord Aaron, they love to make an entrance," Shigo responded. Aaron nodded as he drank from his cup. "I doubt they will show up at the same time, they seldom do," replied Aaron. "I do know that Switchfire should arrive first. I requested to speak with her before we proceed," Shigo revealed. "This must be regarding her encounter with Darren's new chosen one," added Aaron. "She could have killed him that day," Shigo continued. "But she didn't, besides you just recently taught her how to control her abilities," shot Aaron. "She is the most inexperienced of all the masters. That kind of recklessness could get her killed or captured," Shigo went on. "I agree, things must be serious if Darren and Iria are recruiting in the normal universe again. Proceed, but do not discourage her," ordered Aaron. "As you wish, Lord Aaron," Shigo responded. The dining hall suddenly got brighter. A flame shot across the room, lighting the torches of the wall lights. "Switchfire darling, please join us," urged Aaron. Switchfire walks towards the table. She walks up to Aaron. Aaron shot two small flames at the torch lights leading into the dining hall. "This lights up the entryway." "You missed a spot," Aaron said sarcastically. Aaron took Switchfire's hand. Both Aaron and Switchfire's hand had flames surrounding them. You have come a long way since you joined us, complimented Erin. I am humbled by your words, Lord Erin, Switchfire said as she took her seat at the table. Switchfire, the Elemental Master of Fire. She is not only the youngest member of the collective, she is also the newest. She stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing 117 pounds. Her ethnicity is Caucasian and Spaniard. She has shoulder-length brown hair. Her eyes are brown, but glow orange periodically. She was born in the Andiron Universe. Her hometown is alternate Las Vegas, Nevada. Switchfire was born with her fire abilities. Switchfire is the only elemental master that did not initially offer her services to Erin. She was found by Shigo when she was being hunted by the EPC a couple of years ago. Switchfire had been a fire starter her entire life. Despite being born with her abilities, she was not able to control them, which is a crime classified by the EPC. Shigo trains her in exchange for her service to Erin. Switchfire is a quick learner which draws the attention of Erin. He makes Switchfire his ward and trains her as well. Now having control of her abilities, she is living her most normal life to date so far. You wanted to speak with me, Shigo, inquired Switchfire. I do. It's about your encounter with Chris Wilson of the Normal Universe, responded Shigo. Switchfire frowned. With all due respect, that is old news, Shigo, Switchfire said as she played with her hair. It is, and you did follow my orders to a point, but you made a rookie mistake, boomed Shigo. Switchfire rolled her eyes. Enlighten me, Switchfire shot back. You used your superior technique on someone that didn't even have elemental abilities yet, and you got the EPC's attention starting that brush fire, informed Shigo. Switchfire continued to listen to Shigo. You showed your hand in the process. Chris saw your superior technique already. Don't get in the habit of giving our opponents any more advantages, Shigo ordered. I will heed your words of wisdom, sir, replied Switchfire. A green light illuminates the dining hall. Q Hikari slowly walks into the room. He is in deep concentration as his body glowed a bright green. At your service, Lord Erin, said Q as the glow from his body faded away. Erin raised his cup as Q took his seat at the table. Always on time, you are like clockwork, my friend, Erin praised. Shigo looked in Q's direction. Where's your partner? Questioned Shigo. He's on the way. He is still celebrating our most recent victory in Normal Tokyo, answered Q. Switchfire smiled. Good old Dan, the party never stops with him, Switchfire added. Q Hikari, the Elemental Master of Earth. He is the most quiet and serious member of the collective. He stands at 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighs in at 143 pounds. His ethnicity is Japanese. He has short brown hair that is always neatly cut. His eyes are brown. And no matter where he goes, he wears his GI. Opposite of Switchfire, Q was born in the Normal Universe. His hometown is Osaka, Japan. Q grew up in a family of lifelong martial artists. When he was 10 years old, he was sent to a man only known as Hideki. Hideki trained Q under the Kokoro style. The Kokoro style is a spiritual style that relies solely on the user's fighting spirit. Kokoro is the Japanese word for spirit. Hideki's rigorous training hardened Q, which contributes to his stoic demeanor. Following this, Q masters the style and becomes a professional fighter. Q is recruited by Erin and Shigo when they attend one of his fights. The two sense his overwhelming fighting spirit and approach him following his fight. Erin offers to help Q unlock abilities beyond what he was capable of at that time. Shigo and Erin take Q to the Andiron Universe and train him to use Earth elemental abilities. The Kokoro style's energy base is nearly identical to the Earth element. This makes Q's training simple, and he learns and masters his Earth abilities in one day. While stopping to admire his abilities, he is informed by Erin that he cannot use these new abilities when he returns home. In exchange for his services, Erin assures Q that once he executes his plan, Q would someday be able to use his elemental skills in the Normal Universe. Q accepts and vows to bring his partner down with him to strengthen their numbers. Once again, I would like to thank you, Lord Erin, for coming to my universe and helping me unlock my true potential, said Q as he looked at Erin. You are one of the greatest fighters in any universe. I am honored to have you on my side. Finding someone like you was a necessity, Eren replied. Your Kokoro style is essentially the normal universe's equivalent of Earth elemental abilities here. Training you was a no-brainer, added Shigo. What I can't understand is how you and Dan work so well together. You are polar opposites, Switchfire chimed in. Q smiled. That is true, but because of our training, we are linked spiritually, we know where the other is and we know what each other are thinking at all times, responded Q. Suddenly a breeze started to circulate through the dining hall. Do you guys feel that? Switchfire asked. At that moment a man dressed in a full ninja suit floated into the dining hall. Eren stood up. Welcome back, Giro, greeted Eren. Giro's aura shined as he shot a gust of wind in Eren's direction. Eren in response, shoots a gust of wind in Giro's direction. The wind gusts meet in the middle, blowing out the main torch light above the dining table. Switchfire shot a flame at the main torch light, relighting it. Giro took his seat next to Switchfire. Giro, the Elemental Master of Wind. He is dubbed by Shigo as the universe's last ninja. He is never shy about showcasing his Kaze ninjutsu skills, as seen a moment ago. Giro stands at 5 feet 11 inches tall, he weighs 174 pounds. His ethnicity is Greek. The only physical feature of his besides his hair that can be seen are his dark brown eyes that always have a laser-sharp focus. This is because Giro is never seen without his full ninja suit. Like Q, Giro is a native of the normal universe. His hometown is Athens, Greece. Giro was born in a legendary city with a prestigious history. This did not satisfy the young and curious Giro. Giro traveled to Sapporo, Japan and studied martial arts at a small school. Still unsatisfied at 16 years old, he met a dying ninja master, Shigeru Mankai. Giro begged Mankai to teach him ninjutsu. When Mankai asked Giro why he wanted to learn ninjutsu, Giro told him, I want to be a master. Mankai agreed to teach Giro the Kaze ninjutsu style and Giro took to it quickly. Unfortunately, Mankai passed away before Giro had finished his training. Giro continued to train what he learned and was soon recruited by Shigo. Eren trains Giro in the Andiron Universe to use his Kaze ninjutsu skill with his newly acquired wind abilities. Similar to Q, when Giro is informed that he will not be able to use his wind abilities when he returns home, Giro offers his services to Eren, so that he may someday be able to use these abilities in the normal universe as Kaze ninjutsu was intended. When am I going to be able to test my skills against the so-called defenders? Asked Giro. That's what this meeting is for, Shigo answered. You will be meeting them soon, Giro. Don't rush things, you are more than ready for them, added Eren. The sound of whizzing fills the air of the dining hall. 2 stylized metal fans orbited around the table. As a young woman walks in, the metal fans fly into her hands and were dissolved. She walks up to Eren. Eren stands up as a silver aura shines around him. His right fist turns into solid metal. Jing, as always it is a pleasure to see you, said Eren as he smiled. Jing's right fist turns to solid metal. Eren and Jing give each other a metal fist bump. The two hug each other in an organic embrace. Switchfire rolled her eyes as she twirled her hair. Jing takes her seat to the left of Eren. Jing, the elemental master of metal. Akin to Giro, she does not pass up an opportunity to showcase her metal abilities. She is close to Eren's age, and extremely skilled when it comes to fighting. She is the first lady of the Elemental Masters. She stands at 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing in at 117 pounds. She has long black hair that flows down to her lower back. Her eyes are brown, but sometimes have a metallic shine. Jing was born in alternate Santa Paula, California. She was born with her metal abilities. Her ethnicity is half Caucasian and half Japanese. Jing previously made her money street fighting since she was 17. She fought against women but soon got bored and began fighting against men and dominated them easily. Jing is a childhood friend of Eren. And when Jing heard that Eren was fighting alongside Shigo, she further trains her metal abilities and sets off to find Eren. She soon finds Eren and he happily let his childhood friend join him. Shigo was skeptical though, and believed that Jing couldn't fight. He challenges her, and Jing impresses Shigo with her incredible speed. Shigo accepts Jing and further trains her. Besides Shigo, Eren trusts Jing the most. I can't wait to come face to face with this Tanya you have been telling me about, Jing said with a smirk on her face. Wait a minute, I thought Tanya lost her fight in the Drowsel universe, remarked Switchfire. She let Anna win according to our spies in the normal universe, Shigo informed. So she was holding out, she won't be able to do that against me, declared Jing. With most of the expected already in the dining hall, Eren directs the island servants to start preparing the food. This conversation has emptied our cups, Q said as he raised his cup. A stream of water came from the entryway, filling Q's cup. Multiple streams of water flew in, filling the cups of the other masters. Switchfire shot a flame through the doorway. Enough of the waterworks, come out Geishi, boomed Switchfire. In walked Geishi, holding a flame-shaped iceberg. Anyone need ice? Geishi asked as he tossed the iceberg on the table. The other masters put ice cubes in their cups. The island servants cleaned the remaining ice cubes from the table. Geishi, the elemental master of water. There are a lot of details about his origins that are unknown. One thing that is known, Geishi was born in the Andiron Universe. His specific location of his birth is unknown. He was born with his water abilities. Geishi stands at 5 foot 10 inches tall and weighs 165 pounds. He has long black hair similar to a surfer. His eyes look like the ocean's blue, with an occasional glow. He wears a wet bodysuit that bonds with his aura. He cut his teeth as a street brawler and part-time gambler. While scouting for more masters, Shigo discovered Geishi. Shigo is surprised that he does not use his abilities in his fights. He offers to help Geishi learn to incorporate his elemental abilities into his fighting style. Geishi is another one of the masters who offered their services to Eren. He is promised a portion of the Andiron Universe if they succeed. Not only can he manipulate water, but he has mastered the standard transformation technique. To date, Geishi has not used his transformation technique in a fight, therefore no one has seen him perform this technique in person. Lord Eren, I am curious, why did you not invite the normal universe's water master? Questioned Geishi. Eren remained silent as he made eye contact with Jing and Shigo. Shigo shook his head. Eren motioned for Jing to speak. This Daniel is my opponent's lover, his abilities are unsatisfactory, he was not invited to this island, neither was Tanya's best friend for the same reason, Jing informed. We are the Elemental Masters, I only condone this collective fighting against the best, boomed Eren. According to our spies, Daniel and Angela have the lowest fighting abilities with elements involved. Do not worry Geishi, you will have an opponent, Shigo assured. Q closed his eyes. He's here, said Q as he opened his eyes. The sound of burping and giggling of young women filled the dining hall. Dan came stumbling into the dining hall, only being held up by the two young women at his side. Dan sat in his seat next to Q. Dan, I know that you are celebrating, but this is a meeting, Shigo reminded. The island servants started serving food. At least you showed up on time for the food, said Eren as he motioned for one of the servants. Escort these ladies to Dan's living quarters please, and treat them as our guests of honor, Eren ordered the island servant. The two women that accompanied Dan were escorted out of the dining hall. One thing hasn't changed, you still know how to ruin a good time, Lord Eren, said Dan sarcastically. The masters started eating as they prepared themselves to hear what new information Eren and Shigo had for them. Dan Lee, the elemental master of wood. He is called the Drunken Master by the collective sitting at the dining table. He stands at 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 166 pounds. His hair is black and is combed back like a greaser. His eyes are brown. He wears a pink-colored GI. He, like Q, does not appear in public without his GI on. But unlike Q, Dan's GI has holes in it and is not as clean and neat. He wears light athletic shoes that were created specifically for fighting. He was born in Guangzhou, China in the normal universe. His ethnicity is Chinese. He is Q's partner and co-member of the Kokoro style of the martial arts. Dan is a little more lively and less serious than Q, but he possesses the fighting skill of a master. The two meet when they were sent off after their martial arts training. The two traveled to Aomori, where they met their master Hideki. Hideki told them that they were meant to meet each other and to fight together was their destiny. Hideki trains them under the Kokoro style, in which he was the last member to learn the style. Q masters the style before their training ended and Dan came incredibly close. Dan offers his services to Eren after he meets Shigo through Q. He agrees to travel to the Andiron Universe. Shigo trains Dan to learn wood abilities, which is similar to the earth element. After showing Dan what alternate China was like under the global society, he vows to make his own home country end its differences between his partner's home country. Dan and Q continue their lives in the normal universe as professional fighters, but always return to the Andiron Universe for meetings or missions. I could not help but overhear you say that you did not invite Darren and Iria's water fighter, said Dan before he poured another drink. He's no fighter, Q responded. If you weren't late again, you would have heard why, added Shigo. Eren cut them off. It's time to discuss our future plans, get us started, Shigo, Eren ordered. Before Darren's defenders come here, we are going to make an appearance in the normal universe, Shigo announced. Not all of you are going though, informed Eren. The sound of chatter and speculation filled the dining hall. Eren motioned for them to settle down. Switch fire, Dan, you two will accompany me to Chris and Duran's graduation, continued Shigo. Switchfire's aura started to shine. This is great, I get to see that slick-talking bastard again, Switchfire said excitedly. Shigo shook his head. It will not be that type of encounter, don't forget you won't be able to use your abilities there, reminded Shigo. Dan laughed. That's interesting because you know that I don't need my abilities to defeat any of them, Dan cut in. That's exactly why I chose you too, you both need a crash course on following orders, boomed Shigo. Eren agreed. Chances are they won't even know you are there, Eren added. So what's the plan, shot Switchfire. We are not to engage with them unless they do by chance find us there, Shigo lectured. They just recently learned how to sense a presence, but ours will be unfamiliar to them, responded Dan. We will only be there to observe them. There will be consequences for disobeying orders this time, Shigo said in a serious tone. Understood, Dan and Switchfire said at the same time. The three of us will depart for the normal universe tomorrow evening, finished Shigo. Eren stood up. Now let's talk about what will happen when the defenders do arrive here, Eren started. When those who were invited arrive, they will be treated as our guests of honor, continued Shigo. They are not to be harmed. Eren boomed. So what exactly are they coming here for then, questioned Yuro. We will each demonstrate our elemental abilities in a grand showcase, Shigo revealed. Conflict will not be initiated by us, based on what we know about Chris, he is brash, quick to jump into the fire, lectured Eren. Switchfire smiled. I get it, you want to provoke him, from what I saw of him, all of us showing off will make him want to fight, said Switchfire. That's fine and all, but if all 8 of them will not be here, how will all of us fight? Hugh inquired. Myself and Eren will meet to determine if we will honor your request or not, continued Shigo. Do not take them lightly, as of now they each possess a superior technique, consider every fight to be won to the death if it comes down to it, Eren went on. They are all from the normal universe, that makes them dangerous, exclaimed Shigo. Those from the normal universe take elemental abilities more seriously, they don't see what we can do every day, it's not a game to them, lectured Eren. My past experiences show that Lord Eren is right, I've dealt with my fair share of those who considered the use of their abilities to be a game, added Shigo. 14 years ago. In the Andiron Universe. The Elemental Peace Corps, an organization responsible for limiting the criminal use of elemental abilities, are currently on the trail of a group of elemental outlaws. A small crack team led by an EPC officer codenamed Shigo is moving into position to apprehend the group of elemental outlaws. Shigo activated his radio communication device. Shigo to mission control, Shigo said. This is mission control, report your status, commander, responded the mission dispatcher. We are currently in front of the warehouse, no movement at the moment, awaiting orders, Shigo reported. Your orders are to apprehend these outlaws dead or alive, proceed with caution and use whatever force that you need to subdue them, continued the mission dispatcher. DOA was not in the briefing, what changed? Shigo inquired. They are producing elemental weapons in that warehouse, those weapons cannot be released to the public, Proceed with the orders that I just relayed to you, finished the mission dispatcher. Shigo slightly hesitated. Orders received, initiating EPC mission EO 2023A, Shigo said into his RCD. Communications were now cut off. Shigo and his team quietly make their way toward the warehouse. You all heard the orders, use maximum force if you are engaged with the targets, Shigo said as he kicked down the door. One of the EPC soldiers tossed a smoke grenade into the warehouse through the now open doorway. Through the cover of smoke, Shigo's team entered the warehouse. The smoke slowly cleared. It's empty, sir, one of the EPC soldiers revealed. Shigo charged his aura. Not completely, there are other presences in this warehouse. A gust of wind shot through, pushing one of the EPC soldiers into a nearby inventory bay that was layered with knives and barbed wire. Man down, yelled Shigo. All of the lights in the warehouse came on. Get our fallen comrade out of here and report to mission control. Stand by on your RCD for my order, Shigo commanded. Man down indeed, we meet again, Shigo, a voice said at a distance. Julian. Shigo replied. Alive and in living color, thought you wouldn't see me again, huh? Yelled Julian. Shigo charged his aura. Not this time, Julian said as he snapped his fingers. 3 other outlaws stepped out and pointed their weapons at Shigo. Shigo's aura powered down. This is your one and only chance to surrender and come into EPC custody, quietly, said Shigo confidently. Are you crazy? These weapons are designed to eliminate elementals by targeting the opponent's weakness. 1 shot and you are done, Julian shot back. Fire, Shigo yelled into his RCD. A bright blue light filled the warehouse. Shigo dove to the side as a blast shot into the warehouse, vaporizing Julian and his band of elemental outlaws. Mission Control, EPC Mission EO 2023A accomplished, elemental outlaws eliminated. We have 1 injured, Shigo said into his RCD. Good work, we have a medical chopper currently en route. Destroy the warehouse and return to the EPC compound after signaling for an extraction vehicle, ordered the mission dispatcher. Confirmed, Shigo responded. Shigo stepped outside of the warehouse. Shigo's purple aura started to glow. Shigo's fist had a bright purple flame surrounding it. Shigo's aura fused with the flame surrounding his hand. Shigo released the dark flames in the direction of the warehouse. The dark flames engulf the warehouse. Shigo starts to walk away. I thought the EPC wanted to help elementals use their abilities the right way and keep the peace, thought Shigo. He walked to the top of a hill and fired a signal flare. The EPC is willingly creating weapons that are designed specifically to eliminate elementals. We have killed more and more lately, the mission objective must be changing, but why? Shigo said to himself. The extraction vehicle arrived and took Shigo back to the EPC compound. Present day. Now that the Elemental Masters have been introduced, Chaotic Universe will shift its focus back to the Normal Universe. The original 8's final day of school has passed. The day of Chris and Duran's graduation from Paloma Valley High School has arrived. In addition to graduating, Chris must choose a new leader for the Wolf Pack in the next coming school year. Before all of the ceremonies begin, Chris and Duran come on campus for the rehearsal. In the Normal Universe, the location is Paloma Valley High School. Chris and Duran have arrived on campus for graduation rehearsal. Rehearsal isn't mandatory. As long as we get to the football field before it's time for our walk, we will be good, informed Duran. What do you have in mind? Chris asked. Duran smiled. Let's take a walk around campus one more time before graduation, suggested Duran. Chris nodded. The two walked to the outdoor basketball courts. We came here almost every day at lunch sophomore year, Chris said as he looked around. Lots of good times here, added Duran. I agree, remember when Morgan came back here? Chris asked. That was the day QB1 broke up with her because he was going to college. You got the whole school talking, replied Duran. She was so heartbroken, but we got a lot closer after that, Chris lamented. You two got closer all right, she was hanging out with you every day. The whole school thought you and Morgan were dating, continued Duran as he turned around to start walking again. Chris followed. We both know Morgan would have never dated me, she always saw me as a friend, Chris said as the two enter the quad area. Morgan made you one of the most popular people at Paloma the last few weeks of school that year, reminded Duran. Chris and Duran laughed. The two stopped in the lunch area. Speaking of most popular, I know you remember what happened here, Chris said excitedly. A lot happened over here once we started the wolf pack, shot Duran. That is true, but this memory stands out, Chris responded. Like when we paid the football players to lift up the table those chicks stole from us while they were still sitting on it, guessed Duran. That was funny, but not that one, Chris said as he chuckled. What about when we started that mosh pit at lunchtime, Duran guessed again. Remember Brittany? Asked Chris. How could I forget? Duran answered. This is where you asked her to be your girlfriend, continued Chris. Duran remained silent. I get it, that relationship didn't end the way it should have, but you have to admit being the most well-known guy in school for a month wasn't bad, Chris said as he sat on a bench. It's not just that, it was the way she broke up with me, she didn't even do it in person, she passed a letter to your cousin, responded Duran. Chris nodded. We did what we had to do after that, Chris replied. We didn't have to embarrass her in front of everyone that way, said Duran in a serious tone. I'm not saying that we should have, but that situation established the wolf pack as a group that should not be trifled with, Chris finished. Chris stood up and started walking. Duran followed. Speaking of the wolf pack, you know that you have to choose a new leader, reminded Duran. I will, I have been thinking about that for a week now, Chris responded. The whole group is going to be here, they are going to be interested in hearing your decision, continued Duran. Chris and Duran arrived at the Greek theater. We both started this group, the decision should be made together, Chris said as he sat on the steps of the Greek theater. I wasn't here last year, you unified the groups, not me. It's not my place, said Duran as he sat down as well. That's fine, I anticipated that you wouldn't involve yourself in the succession talk, Chris replied. We started this group over 2 years ago, you kept it alive while I was gone, even if it got broken up along the way you fixed it, said Duran as he looked at Chris. For himself, said a familiar voice. Tanya and Gabriel walk up the steps of the Greek theater. I knew that I would find you here, Tanya said sarcastically. So what's the plan for Aaron's Island? Questioned Gabriel. It's going to be dangerous, so we have plans on sticking together, Chris answered. You are welcome to join us, added Duran. Tanya looked at Gabriel. They both nodded. As long as I get to the Andiron Universe so I can have my abilities again, I can go for that, responded Gabriel. We are going to leave for the Universal Travel Point in 3 days, Duran said as he stood up. We will explain more when the day comes, added Chris. The four unanimously agree. I would like to speak with Chris alone, Tanya demanded. Brandy and Anna should be here anyway, I'll go see what they are up to, Duran said as he started walking down the steps. Duran walked away. I haven't seen Daniel or Angela yet, I should go find them, stated Gabriel as he turned around. Gabriel walked away as well. Tanya sat next to Chris. Unknown to Chris and Tanya, Daniel and Angela are behind the Greek theater, and the duo heard everything. Those two are going to the Andiron Universe with them, whispered Angela. I knew they were hiding something, Daniel whispered back. So what now, said Angela softly. We will follow them, when they go to Aaron's Island we will too, Daniel said quietly. Let's go and find Gabriel so that he won't know we were here, whispered Angela. Daniel and Angela quietly walk away. Believe it or not, I still look back on our partnership last year fondly, Tanya said softly. I agree, responded Chris. When I arrived in the forest zone I had a flashback about our past, the forest zone manifested those memories, Tanya informed. We were a good team, replied Chris. Tanya smiled. I still can't believe that we got voted king and queen of the spring dance last year. I won't forget that night, Tanya indicated. The look on everyone's face that night was priceless, recollected Chris. That put us on the map, it started the rise of the Wolfpack name that you are using now, Tanya continued. There is no doubting that, you always made sure our group made a statement, added Chris. I'm sure that night you had a much better time than you did at the homecoming dance, Tanya remarked. Chris nodded in agreement. You know, I never formally apologized to you for what happened last year, but I owed it to all of them to go back to the original Wolfpack, reminded Chris. Heard that one before, Tanya shot back. I have no ill will towards you, I will always remember our time as friends, and I am truly sorry for the way things turned out, said Chris as he smiled at Tanya. That was big of you, you caught me by surprise there, Tanya replied. The two sat there looking into each other's eyes. Thank you for saving me in the Drazzle universe, you didn't have to do that, said Tanya softly. Despite our recent past, I would have never left you to die out there, Chris responded sharply. Following this day, your wolf pack will no longer be my rivals, my issue was with you not with all of them, announced Tanya. Chris continued to listen. I can say that even if you were not graduating, our feud is reaching its twilight, finished Tanya. That's good to hear, I'm glad that my decisions will not affect the others left here after my departure, responded Chris. Tanya stood up. I should go find my group, we have a couple of people graduating today as well, I'll be in the crowd. Congratulations, Chris, Tanya said as she turned around. Thank you, hopefully I will see you after the ceremony, replied Chris. Possibly, Tanya responded. Tanya walked away. With a half an hour left until the ceremony begins, Duran and Chris meet in the PE locker room to change into their cap and gown. This is where it all started, Duran said as he closed his locker. Indeed it did, you actually convinced me to stop being a lone wolf right here, added Chris. So how did it go with Tanya? Duran asked. We cleared the air, which is good, because we can't have her acting as she did in the Drazzle universe on Erin's Island, answered Chris. Speaking of that, I talked to Anna while you were occupied, Duran started. What came out of that? Inquired Chris. Anna intends to confront Tanya after the ceremony, Duran revealed. This must be about their fight, replied Chris. Anna is still convinced that Tanya could have continued that fight, Duran said as he looked at Chris. Hopefully they do this in private, Tanya just told me that the wolf pack we leave behind will no longer be her enemies, informed Chris. I don't think Anna will make a scene, everyone understands the importance of uniting to defeat the adversaries that we will be facing soon, Duran said reassuringly. Duran and Chris head out of the locker room and make their way to the football field where the graduation ceremony will take place. As family, friends, school faculty, and administrators make their way to Wildcat Field for the ceremony. Shigo, Switchfire, and Dan are at the top of the stands, away from a huge majority of the crowd. They are dressed in normal clothes, but all three of them have sunglasses on. Dan is currently drinking a beer. Sir, said a nearby voice. An event staff member walked up to Dan. Sorry sir, but there is no alcohol allowed at this ceremony, the event staff member said as he took the beer out of Dan's hand. Dan frowned. Shigo took off his sunglasses and flashed Dan a stern look. Sorry about that sir, apologized Dan. No problem, you won't be the last person that I catch with alcohol here, enjoy the ceremony, the event staff member replied. The event staff member walked away. Shigo put his sunglasses back on. We talked about this, you two have strict orders to behave yourselves here, said Shigo in a serious tone. Switchfire was looking around. I don't see any of them, Switchfire exclaimed. According to the information that we have, all 8 of them should be here, even though only 2 of them are graduating, informed Dan. The ceremony is about to start, Shigo informed. The graduation ceremony begins with 2 announcements. The first is that there will be a promotion dance following the ceremony. The second is that each graduating student will be allowed to choose one other student to walk across the stage with them and receive their diplomas together. Both will be a first at Paloma Valley High School. After the principal and the students' valedictorian speak, the students' names are announced to walk across the stage. Meanwhile, Tanya is in the student section along with Gabriel, Daniel, and Angela. An uneasy feeling comes over Tanya suddenly. What's wrong? Daniel asked Tanya. I'm picking up some unfamiliar presences, answered Tanya softly. Here. Gabriel said as he started to look around. Tanya, Angela, Gabriel, and Daniel all look around the football stadium. They are here in the stadium somewhere, said Tanya cautiously. Are you sensing anything else? Angela questioned. Tanya closed her eyes. There are 3 of them, but 2 of them are not of this world, revealed Tanya as she opened her eyes. Could it be the Elemental Masters? Asked Gabriel. Possibly, but I do not sense any ill intent, Tanya responded. Then maybe it's not them, suggested Daniel. Maybe, but I want to know. Remember Darren and Iria said that they can travel here, Tanya reminded. And they are human like us, so it would be easy to hide here, added Gabriel. Tanya decides to walk around the stadium in an attempt to find whomever she is sensing. Chris and Duran are announced and the two walk across the stage and are given their diplomas. Shigo, Dan, and Switchfire look on. There, Shigo pointed out. Wait a second, I have seen those two before, exclaimed Dan. That's impossible. You were fighting in Japan the last time you came to this universe, Switchfire said quietly. I saw them briefly, it was during my and Q's tag team fight, Dan explained. Iria was reportedly training them in Japan, so it's a possibility, Shigo said as he started to look around. What's next? Asked Switchfire. You two have done a good job masking your intent. It seems that Tanya is on to us though. In order for us to get out of here undetected, continue masking your intent, Shigo lectured. So you were training us this whole time, remarked Dan. I'm fine with that. I can't burn any of them to a crisp here anyway, Switchfire added. Masking your intent hurts your opponent's chances of finding you or reading your feelings. Tanya knows we are here, but with what I just taught you she won't find us, finished Shigo. Shigo, Dan, and Switchfire make their way towards the exit. With the ceremony over, family and friends gather. Within an hour, preparations are made for the promotion dance. Many of the students' family members have now left the campus. Before leaving the football field, Chris, Duran, Anna, and Brandy are together discussing the upcoming dance. So are the two of you going to join us at the dance? Chris asked Anna and Brandy. Of course I will, answered Anna. You haven't announced the new leader of the wolf pack yet. I assume you will at the promotion dance, Brandy added. I made sure every member of the wolf pack received a ticket to the dance, informed Duran. We will all gather up towards the end of the dance, and my decision will be made at the Greek theater, Chris announced. The sound of clapping is heard and gets closer to them. Dane walks up to Chris, Duran, Anna, and Brandy. Still grandstanding, Chris, why don't you just tell them now? Because whoever it is will be dealing with me next school year, said Dane as he stood in front of Team X. Why are you here? Anna questioned sharply. I would like to know too. Whoever our future leader will be is none of your business, added Brandy. Duran stepped forward. I'll give you props though, coming here alone was pretty bold, said Duran. We have a dance to get to, so if you have something to say, then say it, Chris boomed. Easy guys, there is no need to start a conflict over something that will be handled in the future, started Dane. Team X stood ready to hear the rest of what Dane had to say. I just came here to tell you that in life, we will meet again even if it doesn't happen here, it will happen, so you all better be ready, Dane continued. Trust me, I and whoever is chosen to be my group's new leader will be too, boomed Chris. Well played, you wolves have some fight in you. Congratulations on your graduation, have a good time tonight, Dane said as he turned around. Dane walked away. Another hour has passed and the doors open for the promotion dance. This first-time promotion dance is much like the homecoming dance in two ways. There is no dress code and the venue of the dance is the school gym. Chris, Duran, Anna, and Brandy arrive at the dance. They seat themselves at a table next to the DJ booth. I still can't believe that Dane showed up like that with all talk and no action, said Brandy before taking a sip of punch. All four at the table agreed. I see that Tanya and her group are here. I'm going to talk to her about our fight right now, Anna declared. Chris took Anna's hand. Tanya told me that after tonight the wolf pack will no longer be her rivals, revealed Chris. Try not to make a scene, clear the air, and come back, Duran recommended. Should I come with you? Asked Brandy. I fought her on my own, I should do this on my own too, Anna said as she stood up. Anna walks away. Meanwhile, Tanya and company have also settled in and are taking in the festivities. We have to tell them about what I sensed at the ceremony, exclaimed Tanya. I agree, they should know about this, they are the defenders, after all, Gabriel added. Those presences could have been anybody, we are still new to this stuff, speculated Angela. That might be, but Darren and Iria did say that they can freely travel here, why come here and not do anything? Daniel questioned. Maybe it was by design, they have no abilities here, only spiritual abilities are usable here. They knew that we were at the ceremony, responded Tanya. Anna walks up to the table. "Can I speak with you in private?" questioned Anna. "I could use some fresh air, let's step outside," Tanya responded. Anna and Tanya walked to the outdoor basketball courts. "So what's this about?" asked Tanya. "It's about our fight. We had a great battle, showcasing our skills, and then you quit at the end," Anna said sternly. Tanya crossed her arms. "We have already been through this, you beat me fair and square." "Why?" started Tanya. "The next time that we meet in battle, do not hold back, and when we go to Aaron's Island you better not hold back either, it might get you killed," Anna interrupted. "This thing is serious, and trust me, I won't hold back anything when we go there," continued Tanya. "Whatever your reasons for holding back were, I will not hold it against you. From here we can move forward," Anna declared. "I'm cool with that, but I need to speak with Chris and the others, it's important," requested Tanya. "Okay, let's go back inside," Anna responded. Tanya and Anna go back inside to the dance. Tanya and Anna approach the table that Chris and the others are sitting at. "What's going on?" asked Brandy. "If you two are together, this must be big," Duran remarked. "You both should take a seat," recommended Chris. Chris, Duran, Anna, and Brandy eagerly awaited Tanya's announcement. "During the ceremony, I sensed some unfamiliar presences," started Tanya. "Did you find out who it was?" Brandy inquired. Tanya shook her head. "I didn't. I walked around the entire stadium and concentrated really hard, but nothing to help me find them came up," answered Tanya. "Anything else?" Chris questioned. "All that I could find out is that 3 of them were present and that 2 of them were not from this earth. I have reason to believe that the Elemental Masters may be here in the normal universe," revealed Tanya. "Based on what Darren and Iris said, that would not be impossible," added Anna. "If it was them, why didn't they do anything?" Duran asked. "They are powerless here, that's why," replied Chris. "I don't think that's the reason why. If they were here and they couldn't be found or fully sensed, they are not powerless," Brandy lectured. "She's right, even though no action was taken, the thought of them being here undetected still makes me uncomfortable," said Tanya softly. "With so much unknown, I don't blame you," Chris responded. "Those presences at one point seemed to be locked in on you and Duran when you walked across the stage earlier," informed Tanya. "So what do you suggest?" Duran inquired. "When you two leave the dance, I should come with you, maybe I can find out who they are if they focus on you again," recommended Tanya. Chris looked at Duran and Brandy. "It's up to you," Duran said to Chris. "I don't have a problem with that," added Brandy. Chris took Anna's hand. "What do you think?" Chris asked Anna. "This could be good for us. Tanya will be at peace with us next school year. Her being there will make the announcement more credible," answered Anna. "Announcement?" Tanya questioned. "Soon myself and the entire wolf pack will head to the Greek theater. I will choose my successor to lead the group following tonight," revealed Chris. "Daniel, Angela, and Gabriel should come too. Both parties should be a part of this," added Tanya. Team X looked at each other at the same time. They all nodded. "We're okay with that. I will send Manny to come and get you when we get started," Chris informed. Tanya walked away. "Duran and Anna, can you two gather the others and head to the Greek theater?" asked Chris. "Of course," Anna and Duran answered. "Brandy, I would like for you to stay with me," said Chris. Brandy nodded. Anna and Duran walked away. "Would you like to take a walk with me?" Chris asked Brandy. "Sure," answered Brandy. Chris and Brandy exited the gym. The two walked towards the quad. Chris looked at Brandy as they walked. "That day has finally come," said Brandy. "It has, the two of us have come a long way together," Chris added. "We started as friends, became rivals, and then became friends again," reflected Brandy. "It's all because of you, remember you brought me in," Chris replied. Chris and Brandy walked toward the indoor theater. "You already had something going on before I came into the picture, don't give me too much credit," Brandy said as she smiled. "What about when I left?" questioned Chris. Brandy remained silent. "You kept the group together on your own," Chris said as he touched Brandy's shoulder. "Listen, I never thought once during that time last year that you weren't going to come back. They still saw you as their leader, not me," replied Brandy. They continue walking. The two stop next to the library. Is that why you brought me back to the group? Chris inquired. Of course not, I fought to bring you back to our group, because I wanted you back. I knew that our group was broken up because of me, not you, answered Brandy. Well, it's all water under the bridge now. I just want to thank you for everything, from last year to when you came back a few months ago, Chris said softly. Brandy smiled. You don't have to thank me for being your friend, said Brandy sarcastically. Chris and Brandy laughed. Seriously, even though I wonder what great things could have happened if we got together romantically, great things happened anyway, Chris continued. Brandy continued to look at Chris. You have accepted Anna as your friend, you tolerate Duran, and you learned how to use fire in a matter of months. If there is anyone that I would want to go into battle with me in any universe, it's you, finished Chris as he hugged Brandy. Chris and Brandy continue walking until they arrive at the Greek theater. The entire wolf pack is in attendance. Chris stands in front of the steps of the Greek theater. Great, all of you are here, thank you for coming, Chris started. Brandy starts to make her way to sit with Anna and Duran. Chris stops her. Brandy, please stand by my side, requested Chris. Brandy comes back and stands next to Chris. I would like to thank every member of the wolf pack, regardless of who brought you in, or how long you have been a part of the group, Chris announced. A round of applause followed. Tonight, you should all know that next school year, Tanya and her group will no longer be our rivals, revealed Chris. Tanya stood up and joined Chris and Brandy in front of the group. I know that some of you may not agree with this, but we once were a part of the wolf pack just like you. My decision to not unify with you last year was strictly because of my disagreement with Chris, but after tonight that will be the past, Tanya informed. The entire group is buzzing with anticipation. With Tanya and Brandy standing beside Chris, he prepares to reveal the new leader of the wolf pack. There is only one logical choice for a new leader, started Chris. As Chris throws up the wolf pack sign, the other members of the wolf pack threw it up as well. Brandy, the wolf pack is now yours. I could not imagine choosing anyone else, Chris finished as he hugged Brandy. Everyone clapped, including Daniel, Angela, and Gabriel, who were in attendance. Tanya and Brandy stood face to face. Congratulations, Brandy, Chris holds you in high regard, soon they all will too, Tanya said to Brandy. I never thought I would be standing here with you, especially after last year, but here we are, replied Brandy. Tanya and Brandy engaged in what appeared to be a heated stare down. The two smiled. Brandy and Tanya shake hands in front of both groups. Now that the Elemental Masters have been revealed, another question has been answered, but more questions remain. Why is Aaron so intent on not initiating conflict? Who is the mysterious Shigo? It appears that he is the field commander of the Elemental Masters. But the most important piece of the limited information on him is revealed. He is a former officer in the Elemental Peace Corps, the main enemy of the Elemental Masters, and many elementals who advocate for free use of elemental abilities in the Andiron Universe. What led him to working against them? And what more will we find out about him? 3 of the Elemental Masters traveled to the Normal Universe, but are not encountered due to being hidden. In 3 days, Chris, Duran, Anna, Brandy, Tanya, and Gabriel will travel to the Andiron Universe by a universal travel point and come face to face with the Elemental Masters. In the next chapter, a deeper explanation of universal travel will educate the reader on this most important detail in the universal struggle. With Chris and Duran graduating, Brandy is chosen as the new leader of the wolf pack. Their school year has ended, as well as their feud with Tanya and company. Daniel and Angela secretly overheard the others talking about Aaron's Island. They have decided to follow them. What role will these two play, if any? Aaron's Island is the setting for a possible encounter between both universes best. In the next chapter, for the first time in the story, others besides just Chris will experience the Andiron Universe that they have heard so much about. The time has come to see what they have learned and how they will use it. The latest chapter of the universal struggle is about to be written. The Elemental Masters Saga continues as a new journey begins. End of Chapter 10.